Yo, what is up, family? Today we have something new. I will be going over God aspects. So first and foremost, what are God aspects, right? God aspects is a new thing that Smite 2 and Hi-Rez are introducing to the game to play a god a certain way. Not all gods have it yet, but they are planning. But Hi-Rez is planning to release aspects for every single god in the game. Currently, there will be planned 20 aspects in the January update. Right now, I'm just on the playtest server, and for this video, I'm just going to be going over each aspect and what aspects go on different gods. So currently, there's only one aspect per god, and you have the option every single game to either disable the aspect or enable it. You can also do this in the god selection menu when you're picking your god when you're in game. You can either turn the aspect on or off, but as for this video, I'll just have the aspect on and I'll be reading over what they do and what you can possibly do per character. So starting off with on her, this basically his aspect says enfeeble, which is his passive, no longer debuffs enemies, but dealing damage to the same enemy with basic attack provides you 100% bonus attack speed. So basically, this will double your attack speed. If you focus on the same target, he can basically be now a attack speed build, and this is probably one of the most boring aspects. And these just get crazier, right? So that's on her. He can basically be an auto attack tank melter machine. Moving on to Athena, this one I'm very excited about. You can now play her a little more in the jungle, a little more in the solo lane. Her aspect is called Aspect of War. Defender of Olympus now targets visible enemy gods instead of allies, dealing no landing damage while causing the enemy to take increased damage while Athena is channeling. So basically, this means that when you use your ult, you can no longer target your allies, but you can target the enemies, which is broken. Imagine Athena jungle, right? Your soul lane is about to get a kill, but the other soul laner is out of reach. You teleport to that soul laner, easy dash, taunt, boom, that person's dead. I'm super excited about this one again. So now you can teleport on enemy gods, but you cannot teleport on allies anymore, and you won't deal any damage landing on the enemy god. And you would just basically teleport to them. There will be no damage caused to them. Moving on to Bacchus, aspect of revelry. After using his chug, which is number one, which is his one, your in-hand attacks cleave and deal bonus damage, scaling with strength instead of prots for a short duration. This will basically you can go with a full strength. You can go with a full strength Bacchus build. You can go play him now in the jungle. Basically, what the aspect is, for a short amount of time, instead of using physical protection scaling, you can now be a huge damage dealer with strength scaling, and you can make a full strength Bacchus build and play him in the jungle. You can play him maybe a hybrid solo laner build, but this just makes him more viable, and right now just even a little more stronger, right? Moving on with Bologna. Bologna, super super cool. Aspect of Vindication. Bludgeon no longer deals bonus final slam damage, but whenever you gain block, stacks with sword and shield, or gain healing from Scourge, which is her 3, nearby ally gods also gain those benefits. So, you know how with the bludgeon attack, there's that final slam, right? So you will no longer deal bonus damage with the final slam. You will still deal damage with it, but no longer bonus damage. But whenever you gain block stats with the sword and shield, which is shield bash, um, or gain healing from Scourge, right? Nearby allied gods also gain those benefits. So you can make if you play support Bellona now with this god aspect on, you can literally heal your ADC. And not only that, you can combine it with the new item Aeros Bow and just heal your ADC nonstop. Attack speed support Bellona can now be viable with this god aspect. Moving on to CERN, we have Aspect of Strife. Your basic attacks no longer fire projectiles but deal increased damage. Cleave and apply shifters of season effects to all enemies. In addition, Horn Charge's cooldown is reduced when hitting an enemy god. I've seen people in the PTS go a full cooldown build and just go straight memeing with a horn charge. You will lose your CC effect on the horn charge though, but your cooldowns will go down. And what this does is he turns into a melee god. Your basic attacks are no longer projectiles, so it'll be all melee, but you will deal more damage. You will deal cleave, which is an AoE, and apply the shifter season effects on all enemies when you hit them. So that's even crazier. Maybe you can even go to attack speed, hybrid CERN, jungle. That's so crazy. Moving on to chalk, we got aspect of fulmination. Rain dance no longer heals but damages enemies in the area instead. Pretty self-explanatory in this one. So this one can also be another jungle build, right? Another he can go jungle now. He's a little more viable in the jungle. You can so his rain dance is his 3. You know, when you use it, it usually slows, which it still does, but it also heals you. But instead of healing you now, anybody inside that rain dance, which is already huge, it's a huge circle, they'll be damaged from it. And it scales off of int. It's just Chalk Jungle is just back now, right? It's going to be even crazier. Cupid's ability is Aspect of Love. This is more for the support role. Heart Bomb's damage is decreased, but the enemy hit has reduced attack speed, so you're reducing your enemy's ADC's attack speed if you hit them with your number 2 or with your 2. Um, and sorry, I apologize. With your 1, your Heart Bomb's number 1. So if you hit them with a 1, or if the enemies around it gets done by the 1, their attack speed decreases. And at 8 stacks of Love Struck, also allies also gain a health shield. Love Struck, I believe, is your passive. Yeah. So more on the support Cupid side. Moving down the list, we have Danza. So Danza's ability is on his 2. When you throw it out, you no longer throw out Sake, which stuns enemies. You now throw out 2 clones. So you're gonna spawn 2 clones right away. But you are giving away a trade-off though of not having that CC with your Sake, but you will still be able to heal when you use your 2. Fenrir's aspect plays more again in support role. Brutalize deals less damage, but applies a stacking slow effect. As a support, you don't really care about your damage. You care about being able to CC them. Seething Howl buff effects are decreased, so I believe that's your 2. Are decreased, but applies to all allies in an area around him. So the being able to use your 2, being able to use your 3, this just puts more of a buff on Finn support. And now, Finn support's already really strong, but imagine with this aspect, right? He's going to be even stronger. Before I show Hekate's off, though, before I talk about it, there is a Geb aspect. He's not in the game, so I can't show you his card. But basically, Geb aspect is an AoE on his 2, and it's a reduced CC per enemy hit. So a full damage Geb, imagine a full damage Geb. Instead of your shockwave being a cone, it's now an entire circle that's around your body. And every time you hit an enemy in that circle, it reduces cooldown. So that's even crazier. Now, anyways, moving on to Hekate, aspect of Ruin. Again, now she can be played more in the support role. Spell Eater can no longer be refired, but instead, so you know this ability right here, if you've played Hekate, if you use a 2, it sucks up all the enemy's abilities, right? But you could, and then once you like at your choosing, you can refire it, and the more abilities it sucks up, the more damage you do. But for this aspect, if you turn it on, you can no longer refire. Excuse me. You can no longer refire your 2, but instead, it reduces enemy damage in the area. So that big area that the 2 is made up of, it reduces it basically perma-nerfs the enemy if they're casting abilities inside that big circle, right? And additionally, each time an enemy ability is cast, a projectile lands and explodes at their location. So every time they're in that circle, they cast an ability. Not only are they decreasing damage, but they are also being hit by a projectile and it explodes at their location. So that's insane. That's insane. That's an insane change. Also, now before I get started on Loki's, I also want to talk about Khepri. Khepri is not in this PTS right now for some reason, but basically Khepri's change is on his 1, right? If you, instead of pulling him back, when you 1 a person, it'll root them, and while it's rooted, Khepri will just auto it. He would just auto the person on the root. So you can basically build attack speed Khepri. You maybe Soul Lane Khepri. You can build jungle Khepri. But basically that's what's the change. Instead of being pulled by your 1, the person will be rooted right next to you, and Khepri will just, without left clicking or without pressing R2 or RT, Khepri will just straight up auto them. Unmissable autos, basically. And now moving on to Loki, we have the aspect of concealment. Vanish no longer debuffs, so this is your vanish, your invisibility. It no longer debuffs enemies when you hit them, but instead stealths you and the nearest allied god on you. So that's broken. Imagine ganking, right? You're going for a gank, you use vanish, and when you hit an enemy, next thing you know, where'd the mid laner go? right? Oh, you're getting ganked by the mid laner on both sides, like you're cooked. That's crazy. Maybe even a support role, right? Like, you use Vanish, you hit Cupid, like let's say you hit Cupid, and now your Izanami, or I guess Izanami has, or your Neith, your Honor's gone, right? And it just opens up so much more potential on Loki support. That's insane. It's just so all these changes have been so exciting. But moving on to Mordred though, aspect of rage, shoulder charge no longer knocks up enemies, but and deals reduced damage, but now passes through an enemy god. Additionally, damaging an enemy god with an ability resets the cooldown of shoulder charge. If you guys did not know how to use Mordred, when you basically without that with the aspect off and you use your one, that's when you can shoulder charge, right? But with this aspect on, that's no longer a thing, right? You're gonna deal less damage and you're gonna lose your CC. So that's a trade-off of this, right? You're dealing less damage, you're gonna lose your CC, but but when you turn this on, right? Every single ability that you hit resets shoulder charge. So you can 1 shoulder charge, 2 shoulder charge, 3 shoulder charge, ult shoulder charge. And imagine the Hydra's procs on this. Hydra's would go crazy. So he's basically Susanoo 2.0 now, right? But before, again, like I said, when you turn this off, if you don't have this on, yes, you will have the CC, you will have the knockup on the shoulder charge, but it doesn't reset. You'll have to wait for the cooldown, and you can only use your shoulder charge on after using your one ability. But again, with this on, you can shoulder charge spam. Moving on with Neath, aspect of wind. Broken weave explosions no longer root enemies, and the buff has a reduced duration. However, the attack speed gained is much higher. Additionally, using World Weaver provides stacks on Broken Weave. It's pretty much self-explanatory. There's a trade-off with all of these. Your root is gone, but you have a buff, a huge buff on your attack speed. So attack speed Neath, crit Neath may be back. It may be back, guys. Now moving on to Nem, aspect of justice. Divine Judgment no longer does damage in an area, so it's no longer a small AoE, but instead averages your health and the enemy god's current health, as long as your health is less than a target. So for example, if you're trying to kill a full health tank Ymir, right, at about 5,000 health, you can, and you're, yes, let's say you're at what, like 500 health, or super low on health, or one shot, ult that Ymir, both of you guys, both of your health, so 5,000 and 500, the average of that will be shared among you two, right? And that basically, so basically Nem is already a tank killer. She can obliterate tanks, but imagine an instant 2,500, like an instant 2,500 health reduction on a tank would just make that tank extremely easy to kill. So easy to kill. So Nem jungle might even see more of that, right? I already love Nem jungle. She's probably one of my favorite, most fun characters, although maybe not the strongest, but this god aspect just makes it seem so crazy. Moving on to Ra. Ra now plays more in the support role with this aspect of thermotherapy. Solar Blessing and Searing Pain only deal base damage with no scaling. In return, Solar Blessing can be replaced on allied gods attaching to them, and Searing Pain heals allies hit. So, Solar Blessing here, it says this his 3 now attaches to gods. So they don't have to stay in a single spot. If you turn this ability on, it like it will attach to them as they move. They don't have to stay in a single spot. That's already huge. As so a healing god is actually healing, right? Solar Blessing and Searing Pain only deal base damage now. So the trade-off of this is you're gonna get less damage, so these won't scale anymore, right? The Searing Pain ability has 110% int scaling. If you turn this ability on, you're not gonna scale with that. You're just gonna have the base damage. But anybody hit with this, with your allies, they will be healed from this. And that's insane. That is insane. So basically, it'll make Raw mid, or it'll make Raw support even crazier, or create, just a viable option if you just want to go full health, full healing Raw. Very viable, and less more of his mid role. Now Thanatos, this one is a crazy change. Aspect of Reaping. Harvester of Souls no longer heals Thanatos, but provides a permanent max health. Additionally, Soul Reap deals bonus damage and heals Thanatos based on his max health. Harvester of Souls is his passive. Basically, the more people you kill, the more souls you have, right? Whatever. But it's a permanent max health. Imagine Tank Thanatos. Imagine just farming so many minions, right? Um, killing, like, imagine just killing so many like gods and so many minions. You can possibly be a full damage Thana, right? You can possibly, if you go full damage Thana, next thing you know, you're at 5k health for some reason because you got all these kills. It's insane. It's insane. So maybe Thana soloing might even be viable too. Imagine a 7k health Thana just walking around the map. That's insane. And it's just, again, adds another way to play a god, right? And it's not like, okay, why can't I just have these all turned on? There's always trade-offs, right? If you guys haven't noticed yet, there's always trade-offs with these aspects. Like, for example, for this one, it will no longer heal you, but it will provide you more health in the long term, right? Bad on the short term, more on the long term. So it all just depends how you want to play the game. Moving on to the Morgan, and last but not least, right? Morgan, aspect of mischief. Confusion no longer stealths you, but on refire, you swap positions with your clone. So, I mean, you can use this in a bunch of escapability. I think this one's kind of okay because Morgan's already pretty hard to kill. But imagine just being chased by the enemy. You clone one way, the enemy goes, you go the other way, and whoever the enemy chases, or whoever the enemy doesn't chase, that's who you swap to. Free escape every single time. Morgan just became more unkillable. But that is basically all the God aspect, guys. I hope you guys did enjoy this type of video. I can't get into a game. Like, it won't kick me. It won't put me in the game every time I come in. It always kicks me out. Oh, I guess, of course, now it's gonna work, right? But let me cancel that just because, let me finish this video real quick. And plus, I mean, I got work. I got employment nerf in 10 minutes. So that's all the time I have for today. Unfortunately, I will be trying to post this video as soon as I can, just so you guys have that all that information for you guys. But as always, let me know what you guys think of these aspects. I'm super excited. Again, there's always trade-offs to these aspects. They're not gonna make the character super broken. And I know there's only 20 aspects in the game of 40 gods, but I just think that even though there's only 20 aspects, it almost seems like there's 20 more new gods just because they play so differently now, right? We can see Loki support, we can see Bellona support, we can see CERN jungle, we can see Bacchus jungle now. We can start to see more Athena solo, more Thanos solo, more Chalk mid. It's all insane. Possibilities are endless. I hope you guys did enjoy this video. Um, I'm super excited. I cannot wait for January. And again, quick disclaimer, this is not out in the full game yet, right? This is just PTS. This is a playtest, right? So if don't expect to hop into Smite 2 thinking that the changes are out. They are not out yet. They are on the playtest. And all of these are subject to change, right? So right now, though, the planned release for all of these aspects is on the big January update, maybe on the first wave of gods, January 15, or maybe in the second wave of gods, January 30th. But either way, we're going to be getting this update most likely in January. I hope you guys did enjoy, and I will see you on the next one, family. Thank you.